Well, hello and welcome. Welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. It's so good to be back. I hope you missed us. We missed you. And this is a momentous day to be back in so many ways. We're so happy to be back with you. And you know, but I'm going to repeat it again. My work with you is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. And every week, at 5 p.m., our new time, we bring to you a leading lady who is leaving a legacy. And the work that we do here is all about the things that the divine femininity is imparting to all of us who are in leadership. And my featured guest tonight, today, this afternoon, wherever you are, it's all about leadership and divineness. So look, how can I say more than I said already? But let me say again, how happy we are to be back with you. We love coming here and sharing with you a little bit of all the wonderfulness that we encounter and the beautiful souls that we meet and bring to you. So tonight, I want you just to sit back and relax, enjoy yourself, and help me to entertain and greet for you our featured guest. But before I do, I'd like to share with you a little bit about her. I met this lovely lady seems moons ago. Yet there are certain people that you meet that they're memorable, they're unforgettable, and you don't forget them. Her title tonight, and for what we are presenting to you, is Own Your Narrative. The journey and how she embarked on it, sometimes not as a welcome, and then embraced it and made the best of it is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Own your narrative, because into the fight we go. My guest tonight, her name, I keep saying night because it's night here, the time changed, but it's not really night, it's still late afternoon. Mindi Fetterman is a dedicated advocate and survivor who turned her experiences with abuse and assault into a powerful drive for community activism. How can you not celebrate and applaud that? And after graduating with every degree that you can imagine, we'll talk about that because I know what you want to know. She has immersed herself in the political and community efforts and community. Oh, we're all in the political community somewhat tonight, this afternoon, today, wherever you are. But Mindi brings us a wealth of inspiration and imaginative everything that we can take to heart and soul and use it on our journey. Because aren't we all on a journey? So friends, just sit back. There's so much to share with you and the time flies here. It's so good to be back with you. Just sit back and do whatever it is to have yourselves comfortable so that you can help me embrace our featured guest speaker today. I'll learn to say today. Mindi Fetterman. Mindi, come on up. Mindi, hello.
I'm giving you a big kiss. Hi.
That's a first, and who doesn't like? Somewhat. Thank you for that,
That's
my
the
love.
first kiss?
It's not my first. It's my first kiss through the tubes, and yeah, it's original and unique as you are. So please, Mindi. I wanted to keep it short and brief because you know how we have this mutual admiration society, you and I. But I want others to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now as a clinical social worker.
Well, I will gladly tell you about myself. I'm glad to be your first on the tubes, as you call it, kiss.
Yes.
And I just want to say really quickly, as you were doing that lovely introduction, I was thinking about the very first time that we met.
Yes.
And it was almost like probably 17, maybe not that long ago, many moons, as you said, long time ago, in the teens. And I remember you said to me, you showed up, I was giving a presentation and you said, "Where is everybody? Everybody around here comes late." And you said, "I like you because you're early, and early is on time," or whatever that saying is. And I knew right then we connected and we just thought, this is how you own your power. You show up where you're supposed to be. Do you remember that moment?
I do. I do. I had forgotten, but as soon as you brought it, not forgotten, but you know how you put things on the back burner. But as
Yep.
soon as you started to, yes, I remember.
All right. Where is everybody? So today, I am a licensed clinical social worker intern. I'm working on being fully licensed, and for the last 15 years or so, I've been running a nonprofit. I started it from the ground up. I birthed that baby and put it out into the world. I was the executive director and founder. An organization solely for survivors of sexual trauma.
Yes.
And it's the first of its kind in our area. And I recently stepped down so it could have new leadership and a new generation of executives. And now I'm in my solo practice, and I'm working with individuals who are on their own journey from trauma.
I love that description. And you know, all of it, Wendy, we have so much that is aligned and connected. I love the way you said you birthed that baby. And because of the work that you were doing and you continue to do somewhat different with the, now that you're a solo, but with the Inner Project, which is a little bit after I met you, you started. But that sexual abuse and assault, and then to turn that forgiveness into work that benefits and profits so many others because they get to know and understand it's just something that happened. It's not you. It's not who you are here to be. And that's one of the reasons that I fell in love with the work that you're doing. How do you define your narrative, self-worth versus self-esteem, especially when it comes to those two things that we just mentioned, sexual assault and abuse? How do you align those two together in the work that you're doing today and forever and always?
Okay, well, thank you for asking me that question and giving me less than 5 minutes to answer that biggie. Okay, but I will do my very best. Well, first of all, the first thing that you said really is about the forgiveness piece, right? And
Yeah.
owning your own narrative. So that's number one. Is I never wanted to tell anybody that you have to forgive or what that looks like. It's such a controversial word and topic, right? It looks different for everybody. And it really is, the healing process is owning your own narrative. But you have to start with understanding who you are before you can even write that narrative. And knowing who you are is knowing the difference between self-worth and self-esteem.
Yeah.
And when I ask people that question, sometimes they get that kind of deer in the headlights look, like, I didn't even think about it. I didn't know there was a difference, really. And the self-esteem is really all external. It's what we get from the accolades and the praise, and it's the money and the relationships and the purse and all of that stuff. It can fluctuate, and it comes and it goes, but it is not your worth, and it is not the inner part of who you are. But the foundation is your worth, and that has to be solid, because the money can go, the relationships can go, and et cetera, et cetera. So when you start with that work, with the foundation of you are worthy because you are on this planet, because you and I are breathing the same air, when you start from that principle, then you can get to decide, okay, what do I want my journey to look like? And do I want to give energy to somebody who has hurt me? Yes or no? And if you say, I no longer want to give that person my energy, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are forgiving them, but it means that you are no longer allowing them to have any part of your narrative. And that is a whole lot different than using the word, the F word, as I say, the forgiveness. But you are rewriting your story without that person. And that's super powerful, because that's tapping into your own worth. And it's more about you than it is about the other person. And that's a whole game changer.
Mindi, in all my years on the planet, I'm a happy, happy senior, happy to rise every day. I've never heard such a beautiful graphic description that's full of clarity, because you also said that self-worth versus self-esteem into empowerment. There is no empowerment without that forgiveness and that self-worth of knowing who you are. And the self-esteem is external. That was just poetry, absolute poetry. Has it taken you? I know it's true. I feel it to be true. And it is the foundation. And yet, for many of us, regardless to all the different things that happen, that forgiveness to self and then for others, it's not easy to come by. How do you weave in that forgiveness with clarity and something that will give the people that you're working with, men and women, the tools that they can begin to embrace and embody forgiveness, because that's a biggie.
You know what? And you kept saying I felt it, and then I was going to use the word embody. So I'm so
Yes.
glad that you just said that, because that's my most favorite word. And
Mm-hmm.
so, really, the work that I have um, been doing lately, the thing that I'm really focusing on the most is sensuality, which seems a
Woohoo!
little interesting for people who know me to be working with trauma survivors and people who've been raped and sexually abused and sex trafficked, right? And
Right.
it's taking things that were so negative in the sexual world and turning it into positive. However, sensuality literally doesn't have to do with anything having to do with sex. It goes hand in hand, but it's its own thing, right? And when
Yes.
we start focusing on living our most sensual self, um, tapping into the world through our senses and really living our full authentic self, then you really understand how much of your energy you are giving away to people who no longer serve any purpose for you. And then you start to redefine that narrative about the forgiveness, all the things that you're putting in your head, the headspace of what that person did to me, how it changed me, how I view myself in the lens of that person is giving that energy to them. And so, again, it's not necessarily that you have to forgive them, but changing that energy and reserving it for yourself so that you can feel things differently, see things differently, hear things differently, really open up your senses. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I'd much rather spend time, enjoying the things I have around me than wasting time in my head being angry or bitter or trying to plot my revenge, right? So that's how we kind of shape the focus, is think about all the stuff, the mental stuff, and sometimes physical stuff that we
Yes.
put on the person who hurt us. All of that could be changed into a beautiful gift for you.
Mindy. I had a guest on not too long ago that my friend said to me, dear, I have so many dear friends. Joy, stop that saying when you can. It'll take time. You have to. You have to. You're invited to. You're invited to. And all the time you're speaking, I'm thinking we're all invited to get to the foundational base of understanding our own self-worth and who we are and giving that out to others. And you said feel, see, and hear, because that's what everybody wants, to be seen, valued, and heard. But we have to see them and feel them first. And we began to do that with ourselves. I love the sensuality versus sexuality. That's why I'm going to connect you with this friend of mine. I don't know. I never know, and not nor should we know how people, when they connect, what they're going to do. But I know this is a divine connection, because our programming, conditioning, and sexuality, especially for women, it's so embedded in so many ways that we are now in this awakening period of our lives. No matter what generation, it's time to walk away from that, and that's the work that you're doing, so that we can be empowered. Yes.
100%. So much of it is societal, and it is tied to stigma and shame, and what is wrong, rather than celebrating what is so uniquely wonderful about each and every one of us and our bodies and the gifts that we have. And when we're in that negative place of what did that person do to me, then we're also thinking about what is wrong with me. And not only does it just focus on the negative event, but then it just focuses on the negativity about us instead of all that is so incredibly beautiful.
Yes. And there is beauty everywhere and everything if you open your heart, mind, and soul to see it. Because this word ugly, which I don't care for, there are a lot of things that maybe aren't that attractive, but ugly, that's a whole different saga. You have here the ultimate F word. I love it. Forgiveness. And remember that fear, this is another good one, it's not a weakness. It's learning how, and I'm adding my interpretation, to embrace your vulnerability, which is so difficult for many of us.
Well, it's the fear, that so right. On your
Yeah.
show, I'm going to behave myself and not use
No,
my
no,
potty
don't
mouth.
behave. Be naughty.
No, 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 no. I have a sailor's mouth, but I love the F word, all of them. But
Yes.
forgiveness, and fear, because we celebrate all the time, and you see it like, on mugs and, gift bags, here's to the fearless women and blah, blah, blah. And who wants to be fearless? Fearless is not a real thing. It's okay to have fear, right? We shouldn't shame people for having fear. We shouldn't make it like um, an inhuman thing. It's good to have fear. It's good to recognize it, see where it's coming from, learn from it, and use it as a building block. When you have fear, and you said the word embody, it tells you in your body what is right, what is not right, and then taps you into what is your next move, right? Teaches you to trust your intuition, trust your body. That fear serves a purpose. So when we talk about fearless, I think that we're all striving for something that really isn't all that great. I have always really loved those moments where I felt fear, listened, leaned into it. What is it trying to teach me? Where can I grow in this moment? And then also the excitement that comes from overcoming that fear, right? It's a triumph. So there's a lot of work to be done around that F word. And I think that we shouldn't necessarily celebrate women as, fearless leaders. They have fear, and it's okay.
I like fierce better, and I understand exactly.
Yes.
I've never heard it put so brilliant, beautifully as you just did, because for some reason, intuitive, and by the way, intuition is aligned with the sensuality and all the other things that you're talking about when you tune in and say, what is this fear attempting to teach me? What am I to gain or get from this? Because there's a purpose that's not really maybe all bad, but what is it? And that's what we're missing. There's so much rhetoric, jargon, and verbiage out here. And I received what you just said. I hope a lot of other people will as well, because words are powerful and it's how we use them. Mindi, I'm jumping up and down in the chair here. I'm getting excited. I'm going to take a quick little reset and then I'll be right back with you. And we're going to continue this conversation. Hold tight. Oh my gracious goodness. It's so good to be back with you. And what a fantastic featured guest speaker to have here today. Mindi, you can tell she knows what she's about. She loves, has an innate passion for it, and she's open and willing to sharing with you. And she will tell you, first off, still on the journey, yet there's so much that I've learned that I want to share with you. What more can you ask for? I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to join my leading ladies, our leading ladies, Leading Legacies. Mindi is a member. And when you come to us, we want you to share, as Mindi is doing tonight, your vision, your mission, and your purpose, because it matters. And if ever there was a time, I suppose every generation says this, it's your time now to sparkle, to shine, and to allow your luster and your flavor and force to come forward. It's time now for all women to know about their true innate equality and power. And one of the things that Mindi and I will speak about, or she will a little bit when she comes back here, is that this project that she was doing, this company that she birthed. You heard her say that she birthed that baby. This one here is what she's promoting still. This is the beauty of community and building good, hearty relationships. Take a screenshot, take a snapshot, and we'll speak a little bit more about that, because she wants you to come and join, and there are other ways that you can participate. In the meantime, know that this inner project that she birthed and all the other ingredients, I heard her say earlier, and I'm going to ask her to speak to this when she comes back. Mindi, you said that it was time for you to add in new leadership. When my engineer brings her back up, I think that's so powerful, because when you bring up Mindi again, I want to ask you, Mindi, about what you said here, because before we go into the next narrative here that you're sharing with us, I found this so powerful, because leadership is a powerful force to be a part of. But knowing when to hang it up or when to move on and when to segue is very, very difficult for a lot of people. So I'm going to ask you, because you don't shy and run away from anything, and neither do I at this stage. But what was the impetus that you decided, I've had a great run here, I've birthed this baby, it's on the move, it's a great nonprofit, but I want to, or it's time to move on? What was that for you?
I'm so glad that you asked me the question. And also, now I have Kenny Rogers singing in my head.
Good, I love it. Yes.
So, I do want to just tell you, when I made the decision to step down, I had so many people say to me, that is so incredibly brave. and wow, good for you. And I just, it took me by surprise because I didn't see it that way at the time.
Mhm.
But I truly did. Now I understand why people say that. But what I was feeling was there were so many things that I felt like I had accomplished,
Yes.
so many that I did not. But I realized that the things that I was really good at, I had done, and there were things that I was not going to be able to do. For example, make spreadsheets.
Ah,
An executive director has to be able to make a really beautiful spreadsheet. And I could spend my time learning. I could go off to retreats and learn about finances and do all of those things, but I didn't want to. I had no passion for that. And I knew that to grow the organization fiscally, that somebody who had that kind of mind could come in and grow it even better than me. My passion was really doing direct service one-on-one with survivors. So I had to really think about that. Do I want to spend my time growing as an executive, or do I want to grow my time working with survivors? And when I sat with myself and asked that question, the answer came to me directly, and I realized that it was time for somebody else to come in this position who could take it further than I had. And I was okay with that. And I
oh,
was excited also. And as a woman, I felt really excited to be able to give this amazing organization to another woman who
yeah.
maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to take something like this in a different environment. So there's so many beautiful souls at the Inner Truth Project right now that
Yeah.
are doing really amazing work.
Mhm.
And they're going to hand it off to somebody else, and so on and so forth. So, at the top of the screen, it says leading ladies, leaving legacies.
Yes,
I
yes.
feel like I am leaving a legacy,
You are?
and those women will, and so on and so forth. And you can't do it if you stay. You just can't. So there you have it.
Leadership and power can be a deadly aphrodisiac if you don't know when to cut it. And you explained it so well. You enjoyed it, you birthed it, and you did all the things you needed to do. But the passion for what you really found in that birthing needed to be expanded more in another direction. And you wanted it to continue to grow. And what was a big part of that was not your wheelhouse. I received that. I
Yeah,
get it. And I
yeah,
think that's what's difficult for most people. So bravo to you. Listen, the time flies here, but I really want to speak to, there's so much here. You have to come back. Integrating all parts of yourself.
yeah.
With the work that you're doing now as a clinical social worker, what are some of the tips, tools, and nuggets that you can share that will help those who will follow? And most people come and really do the after the show, integrating all parts of yourself. How do we do that? How do we find some of the things that we need to do that and grow?
So I think number one is really paying attention to your language, right? You will hear it in everyday conversations, having coffee with your girlfriends or sitting down to a meal with your family members. Somebody will say in conversation, I don't know, there's just a part of me that doesn't want to do that. Or, there's just a part of me that gets so angry. So we say that that's part of our lexicon, right? It's
Right.
everyday jargon. But that really means something. And you said it earlier, our words have power, right?
They do.
So
They
when,
do.
when we say that, you're naming a part of yourself. Don't dismiss that. So it's taking a look at what is that part and what role does that part serve? So, for
Mm,
example, I hear a lot of people say, there's a part of me that's always just self-sabotaging, right? Like I have an opportunity and I'm about to get really successful, and then there's just a part of me that will self-sabotage because, I don't know, I just blow it all up. And
right.
so we want to look at that. I don't think it's self-sabotage. I think there's a part of you that has served a purpose for many years that has kept you safe for a specific reason. What is that part? Where did it come from? And why is their role to keep you safe? And then, as you mentioned earlier, maybe you can think about inviting that part to no longer sit at your table. That part doesn't necessarily serve you any purpose anymore. So we have a choice. There's always a choice. You
Yes.
have a choice to allow that part to slowly die off, right? So being able to name it separates it from I'm a bad person or I always have this behavior. It's I have this part This is why it's existing, and I no longer need it. So it's really, really powerful to be able to recognize it, name it, and then make a choice of whether or not it's continuing to serve you anymore.
Oh my goodness. You know, Mindy, you used a word there that I have found at this stage in my life. And I've talked and met with many others who have expressed it just the way you did in so many different ways. This word safe, especially, it applies to men too, but my work is predominantly with women. It's deadly because what you just shared with us about why you decided to step away from your baby, so to speak, and onto another platform and do something else was that it was not only safe for you there and you could stay there, but you knew that it wouldn't be able to grow the way you wanted it to. And there's so much more you can add to that. But that word safe, when we come to the programming, conditioning, and sexualizing of women and how we've been objectified and marginalized in so many different ways, it's scary. But you explained it well, that self-sabotage is a biggie. You think, let me ask you this, it's unfair, but life isn't fair, but it is beautiful. Do you think that self-sabotage is more relating to women than to men?
Absolutely not. I say, and especially when you look at it from the lens of it's not necessarily a self sabotage, because self sabotage looks at the way that we treat ourselves as so negatively, right? If you look at it as this is serving a purpose, so I'll give you an example. If
Yes.
you have a man who is in a relationship, and every time the relationship is you know getting very intimate, and the romance is growing, and then they go out and they cheat and
Yes.
they blow the whole thing up. They might say, I keep self-sabotaging. Do you want a relationship? Yeah, I do, but I keep self-sabotaging. Well, maybe that's the wrong way to look at it and the wrong word. Maybe what's been happening is there's been this part of you that has been keeping you safe because for so many years you didn't believe that you were capable of being intimate and having somebody rely on you because you didn't have the self-worth, right?
Yes.
You didn't
Yes.
have that foundation that you truly believed that you were capable of being a partner. So now, if you truly believe that, maybe you can invite that part of yourself to say, you know what, I don't need to keep you safe anymore. I don't need to keep blowing things up for you. I'm ready to be vulnerable. I'm ready to experience the full realm of a relationship. And here we go. So it applies to all genders.
Wow. I'm so happy for that explanation. You know why? Because even though I'm working with the divine feminine and divine femininity is my wheelhouse, we both, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, we have both of those energies within, and one is not better than the other. They're different. And when they merge in pure equality, it's beyond beautiful. The time goes here. And once again, I'm going to ask you, and I think you've spoken to it in so many different ways, at least I've heard it. What are some actionable strategies to own our own narrative? And I know that's never ending because it's vast and different for each and every individual. But what simplistic kind of something can you leave us with? Food
Oh
for
my
thought.
gosh. Well, the thing that I would really want to leave your viewers with is that each and every one of us, whether you are solo, whether you are partnered, whether you have many partners, whether you are an able-bodied person or otherwise, you have a divine right
Yes.
to a sensual life. And living a sensual life is really the difference between living a bright life and living with luminescence. It's night and day, right? And being able to tap into a sensual life really allows you to step into your truth without having the shame and the stigma and all of the self-loathing, and
Yes.
it allows you to fully show up and be present for the people that you love in your life and to receive love as
Ooh.
you deserve. So I would tell all of your listeners, if this speaks to you, if it is sparking some sort of curiosity, if you are struggling in your body, if you have body shame, if you have insecurities with sex, or if you have uncertainty even about what sensuality is, I would say reach out to me. Let's have a conversation, or connect with another woman, because you will be so
Yes.
surprised that other women are dealing with this. So many of
Yes.
us are dealing with it.
Mindy. I think there was a movie where they did that several times. You could not end in a better way, because that sensuous part of all of us, male and female, that's what so much to share with you. You are beyond brilliant, beautiful, and gifted. I am honored to be your friend. My engineer is going to put you in the green room, and I'll be with you in just a second. Thank you. We forgot to put up your graphic. We're going to put it across and make sure it goes up again. Alrighty.
All right, thank you.
Love. Thank you. I get excited, so I forgot to ask to put up her graphic, but you saw it in the interim for the reset. And make sure that you connect with this lovely soul. In the meantime, it's so good to be back with you. And I get excited. You know that with each and every featured guest I bring on here, because I only bring you people who are doing work, not necessarily aligned with mine, but somehow connected. I guess it's one and the same, because we now today, male and female divineness within us, it's time to showcase that at its highest realm, the highest realm. And my friends, I need not say to you, because you already know this, I'm sending you always much, much love from my heart to your heart. Be and stay well. All the best. Cheers.